Hello there, welcome to the What the Ref podcast, and as promised, we are reporting from the Universities UK Research and Innovation Conference. I'm Ola.
And I'm Simon.
And we've got some early insights to share with you today.
Do we have early insights? I'm not entirely sure. There's so much information has been just given to us, and there's even more now online, 11 o'clock.
We're actually missing out on reading them.
So we're going to do the best, I guess, we can. So
Yep.
my major insight from this was Jessica Corner stood up, said, we are moving forward. And I was thinking, it's not always the best thing to do, just to ask anybody who's standing on the edge of a cliff. But it's the direction of travel that's really important. And the direction of travel, certainly from today, was away, I feel, from culture.
That's definitely the case, and I think although the bad news really is not as bad as I thought personally, there is a bit of tinkering about how the PC element is now labelled, and now it's called Strategy, People and Research Environment, with a very explicit drop of culture from that element. And the way that Helen Cross rationalized this move was that there was an issue with the language and how culture has become perhaps a little bit controversial, raising a lot of controversy across the community, the research ecosystem, and maybe it was safer to remove that, but yet keep the PC indicators and all that work that's gone into developing them in supporting developing those statements. So I feel that maybe it's not a huge rowing back from what was originally on the table, but a slight adaptation maybe to cater to different tastes.
So rebranding, is it rebranding? So there was a lot of talk about that. It doesn't mean that culture has been removed from the ref. Now, Jessica Corner didn't say that, but I think Helen Cross did. So we should say. So we've heard today from Jessica Corner, from Patrick Vallance, and from Helen Cross, all doing talks. And then we had a panel with Rebecca Fairbairn and Stephen Hill and somebody else. I can't remember who was the other panelist. And so we've had a lot of information to take on board. But I did get the idea that they were saying that research culture is still important. It's just not in the title of what is now the strategy, people, and research environment. It's very difficult having to relearn all your abbreviations, but it does send a message, doesn't it? If you take culture out the name, you're taking culture.
And also, I think if Patrick Vallance was highlighting again the doubling down of the government in making R&D so the key to the industrial strategy and growth of the country, and now suddenly this strategy word appears in one of the elements of the ref, I think they might be expecting that HEIs make a very explicit alignment in statements when they are submitting to the refs, alignments with that government strategy and priorities. So maybe, unfortunately, some of those other things that are on the list, which are the people and the research environment, might have to necessarily drop in importance or prominence of that element, but it's yet to be seen. We're just speculating here.
I was surprised at how quickly, so Patrick Vallance stood up and then very, very quickly, within the first couple of sentences, said national security and reliance are very high up on the agenda. And I thought that was rather quick for a move from just having heard about the changes to the ref to suddenly we're on national security. You had put a lot of emphasis on the post-16 white paper as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. He was saying that lays the template for how universities can, and what were those actual words, achieve financial sustainability. Now, I hadn't picked that up in the white paper. But
Financial sustainability, we'll go back to it and maybe comb it more carefully this time.
And the other thing I thought was interesting when Patrick Vallance started talking about it was this focus on specialisation again. We've been seeing that coming out of funders, about government policy. We've heard it a lot. This idea that maybe universities are trying to have too many specialisms, and that we should have more focused work from different universities. And also there's a strong pointer towards collaboration across universities. And we've seen this a lot, especially with significant research infrastructures that are very costly. So why not have one nationally leading one rather than lots of university-based ones? I kind of agree with that. I think that's a good approach.
It sounds like we're very envious of China's facilities. Patrick Vallance precisely dropped that example there, that their facilities are top class, world class, and we need to, work much harder to develop ours. And maybe that's where they're trying to fit in this environment, to make it a bit more prominent. But then it's a kind of a zero-sum game, isn't it? We'll take away the culture because we need to input those other elements that now think are important.
And the question in my mind with that as well is the REF doesn't really seem to support universities going and working in collaboration on things like nationally leading infrastructure. So maybe we need changes to support that if that's the outcome that
you can't even collaborate on Microsoft Teams.
No, exactly. How are we going to do it on a telescope? Yeah. So I thought that was a really interesting sort of diversion. And then there was straight into the sort of the government's priorities. The industrial strategy made a strong feature, and also this discussion about the industrial strategy. This one was the first one that's ever had R&D. Well.
Written all over the place, apparently. Yeah.
Why would you not put R&D in an industrial strategy? That seems like a very odd thing to do, but we've got to believe him. And then we went on to Helen Cross, talking about the detail of the changes.
Yes, and then we've got some good news. So there will be no twin-track REF for different universities. So I think this is something that we can take away as a clear win. And the community simply didn't want to see that happen.
That was definitely called it.
Although,
sorry, you go.
Yeah, but there's something in 2026 where they're developing some optional additional framework where universities can decide to what extent they're engaging with the REF.
Is that a two-tier track? Or is it not like a two-tier? It sounds like
well, we need to go back to that guidance and really look into that properly.
So we heard the panel and we had an opportunity to ask a question, which we tried to focus on. If we increase the emphasis on the CKU, and we know that the CKU is 97% journal publications and books, then do we not risk kind of further reinforcing that culture? I'll have to use that word. Reinforcing that culture of focusing only on journal publications and books, and only on the people who are mentioned in those being the ones who get an opportunity to share in the success of research.
Well, we were kind of reassured that the focus is still, on a variety and diversity of outputs, and we very much supported it in that campaign, let's say. So nothing to see here, as they want us to believe, and hopefully that's the case.
Oh, I believe that. So we got name checked. There was they understood the work that we were doing, and they supported it. And I think this has always been the issue here, that the REF and Research England want to see a diversity of outputs being submitted. It's what happens when that policy hits the HEIs that is the issue. What else do we have? I mean, I want to get into the actual documents to understand the detail of this, but we have
so many notes.
Okay, I think it's
3 buckets.
3 buckets.
That's jumping out of my notes.
Okay.
But we know that already. And
what about our diversity?
it was interesting that culture did not feature heavily. They were almost constrained or gagged, could I say that, in being careful with whether they use culture as in their speeches.
That's interesting.
I think so.
Yeah.
So there was a moment where I think maybe it was Patrick actually, Vallance said something about a monolithic culture. And I was quite surprised that he used that word when he was referring to the environment.
Yes, it's almost like you'd think if you had those different speeches all occurring, all talking about the environment in which research is conducted and the people who are involved in things, you would naturally use the word culture maybe every third or fourth sentence. Yeah. And do you know what? I can't think of a single time that it was used, at least in the opening presentation.
No, definitely not. Okay. And another one was also in relation to diversity, because again, there were some instances where you could use instead of plurality or variety, there was no diversity. And I think this word and these words are almost like a blemish now on the understanding of what it means. It's the EDI is so ingrained in it, and the research culture is so ingrained that they're just not using these words.
Okay, well, I think that's the best we can do at summarising the changes in the very small amount of time we've had. Ola, what do you think?
Well, we need some time to digest the documents, the reports, and also decide whether we're going forward or maybe moving a little bit back. But we need to see how these decisions land with the community and the research ecosystem. We can really digest it maybe over Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I had planned for Christmas, reading through the PCE indicators document. But so really all there is to say then is we will be reporting back. We will give this some time to bed into the sector, and we'll see how the changes...
We're really looking forward to reading the opinions about this announcement and making a stance ourselves.
So with that, if you've got any thoughts yourself or you'd like us to investigate anything, then please get in touch with us at wtref@hidden-ref.org. And with that, let's get back in there and see what else is happening.
Exciting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.